Finally, the hero we have been waiting for has been born. He is the King of Braves, GaoGaiGar. It's back to the Super Robot Chogokin line, and this time it is not a Sentai Robo. It is the King of Braves himself, GaoGaiGar. Ironically enough, produced by Bandai, not Takara. Yeah, it's funny how things work out these days. Basically, he's built from several mechs combined. I bet you can guess one of them is a lion. It turns into a smaller robot. You can see nice gold details around the mane, as well as those orange spots there, making up the bulk of it. Yes, he has a bullet train sticking through his chest. That is one of the vehicles that forms up the bulk of him. The second part making him up is this drill tank, forming the legs. You can see the treads molded into the back here as separate pieces in gunmetal gray, as well as a little bit of paint on the treads to set them apart. It's actually very hard to see. It's a rather subtle detail, which these toys do excel at, as you've probably figured out by now. The biggest one, of course, is the stealth jet, the stealth bomber on his back. Big, big, big. I will tell you right off the bat, he does have quite a bit of die-cast in his feet and some on the sides of his legs. So, despite that huge backpack, he's got absolutely no problems staying on his feet. That low center of gravity gives him a lot of extra balance. As you can see, the paint job is phenomenal on this thing. A lot is working into this, from all this brilliant gold around the lion's head to the metallic, the chromed gold here on the drills. I'm also loving this metallic red they put all over him. It shines so nice in the light. Actually has a little bit of a hue change depending on how the light hits it. Gives it a really nice look. Also, you can see two different shades of blue forming the bullet train, as well as the lights getting a little bit of paint. Translucent cockpits on the trains. That is the attention to detail here. I mean, that would be so easy to just go, well, I'll just paint it gray and call it a day. I love that attention to detail. Speaking of the head, you can see what looks like an open maw in there, but that is a faceplate. Red eyes painted in again. Little tiny G-stone there on the crest. A lot of detail and great paint going into that. All around, phenomenal job here. Now, before I demo the articulation, there is some little feature here I have to get out of the way. And it's how much of this toy is designed to help the articulation. For starters, this wing pack does actually fold back on extra hinges, which allows you some better movement in the shoulders and some more posing options. Similarly, you have panels here that open up in the side just in case your foot happens to twist or need to go in some way. You do have a little bit of extra motion thanks to that. You also have the typical stuff, you know, the skirts here all move out, they're all ball jointed over here. Even these little pieces are individually ball jointed, just in case you need to move them. It's a really phenomenal assembly job. A lot of thought went into that. So, that out of the way, how about some proper articulation? Well, you got full shoulders, though of course this mane does tend to get in the way of that a little bit. You get bicep rotations, as well as a rotation under the elbow joint. The elbow joint is doubled, however, I want to point this out to you because this is kind of a phenomenal little touch. You can see there's a little divide there, and the reason for that is because the forearm actually slides over that piece. That prevents any nasty gaps from showing and keeps it looking very accurate to the show. This way you don't have to have a big gash in that arm in order to get that fully articulated elbow. This is a great thing. Of course, like most of these toys, the wrists do rotate because they are on separate removable joints. Hips also, though GaoGaiGar is pretty stiff, so not a lot of hip movement is needed. Though he does have a good range of it. Even though he does have very wide hips. That's probably my one issue with him. He's wide-hipped in the show, but something about how narrow his waist is just kind of makes it even worse. Still, it's just a minor thing. Huge knee joint, enough to bump into the Stealth Gao on the back. So you've got plenty of motion there. You can even see that red piece does move up. That way the drill always stays at a poised attack position. Again, little touches. This thing has so much thought going into it at this point. I did show off that the ankles do have full front and back and some side rotation. So you do have plenty you can do. I will say also, torso joint works all the way, waist joint, and a head, which is ball jointed in every direction and has plenty of clearance all the way around. So despite the exaggerated details on his helmet, he can still move the head around completely. And just in case if you want, you can also close Gao Lian's mouth. So there is a great range of articulation with this toy, and most of the places where it would be hindered by his extra parts, he does have ways of compensating. It's a brilliant little piece of engineering all the way around. However, this toy is more about his accessories than anything. Or more specifically, he's all about his accessories and the hands they are built for. Let me explain. First, let's do it this way. Let's go through the accessories as if we are entering battle with GaoGaiGar. Well, the first thing we have to do is clear the populace by bending matter and space around us. So with that, we need to remove one of his hands, which is on this little square plug. And we need this, the dividing driver. This is one of his most used accessories in the series. If you've seen it, you will recognize exactly what this is. You can see nice chrome silver there on the head of the screwdriver. Moving to the pistons, fully painted of course. They don't move in and out, so you do have a little bit of function possibly lost, but it's not that big of a deal. You can also see it's kind of a dull orange glittery plastic, giving it this very unique sheen to it. It looks quite nice actually. And there's the power meter there. And notice, this thing is huge, but it is well designed to be very lightweight. GaoGaiGar's joints are also quite tight and have no problem holding this up. So, of course, this is a must-have accessory for him. Great inclusion, huge accessory. With the area cleared, naturally, the monster is going to be the one to attack first. Don't worry, though, because we have this hand. It is a completely straightforward hand, though it's a little bent. So, while you can have him Austin Powers judo chopping people, that is not why this hand exists. This hand exists for this. This is his Protect Shade. Getting this on is a little tricky, and I might not demonstrate this on camera, as a matter of fact. You actually have to place it inside the shade and then attach it to his arm. One moment. And there we go, GaoGaiGar bravely hiding behind an energy shield. I actually really like how this accessory is done, because you have to put the hand in the front and then connect it through the back. It actually looks like it is radiating out from the hand, which is a great little effect. I will tell you, however, this stuff is thin plastic. It has slightly yellow tinted, translucent plastic. It's the same kind of stuff a plastic clamshell would use. It's very thin, and I would be scared of this thing falling when this accessory was attached, because it might not survive. As a minor little accessory, it is quite large, so good luck storing it away, but it does represent one of his abilities very well, so props to the designer. But hey, this is defensive. This is GaoGaiGar. Let's go on the attack. For that, we raise one fist to the sky, and we prepare his main attack, the Cotton Candy Ball. Broken Magnum. I'm sorry. It's all this anime lately. All the names are blurring together. We'll move that up a little bit so you can see his hand. Once again, this must come off. We must disarm him to arm him. This is actually pretty cleverly designed. That piece comes off, and your little cloud here is a clamshell. You can see, well, I'll give you a quick look at it here. It's very nicely painted, all translucent plastic. There's a little bit of a paint app to it that makes it look a little bit foggy, giving it that nice cloud appearance that it has in the show. So, very nicely detailed. Now, we wrap it around one of his fists. Well, really only works on this one. Come on. Of course, it acts up on camera. Clamp shut. This pegs on to where his hand went to fully lock it in. There we go. And we have him charging up the broken Magnum. Now, the forearm does come off in order to simulate it firing. And in fact, he comes with this as well, which is a little clear pin, which is specifically for your Tamashii Act 5 stages. That will allow it to connect onto the stage and actually have you posing him while the broken Magnum is in mid-flight. I don't have an Act 5 Tamashii stage ever since my Act 3 decided to self-destruct after about 4 uses. I love clear plastic, as you know. Let me get this off, because now that we've hit the Zonder with our big attack, it's time to finish him off. And of course, that means it's time for Hell and Heaven. We open up the arms and we prepare 2 more hand accessories. Very wide, splayed open hands. This is where the accessories start getting a little bit interesting. You can see extremely wide fingers. There are probably other uses for these. You could probably think of other poses. You know, since these are toys, do anything your imagination will you to make. But for the most part, that is their intention. It's Hell and Heaven's charge up. Very firm. You can see if I had the special effects to make ripples and things come out, I would be animating them right here to complete this look. So with that charged up, that leaves just one thing to do. It's time to jet forward and deliver a double-fisted punch to a Zonder's soul. For this, we need to cheat. This is where the accessory thing starts coming into play. The main, of course, hinders his articulation, which means it's impossible for his arms to get in front of him for this attack without removing them. Instead, you get these little pieces with part of the main removed. So this is how we will cheat in order to accomplish Hell and Heaven. And excuse me as I jump cut, because this is kind of tricky to get back in. Oh, of course, no. Never mind. These things are quite sharp, by the way, so it's a little bit tricky to actually get them plugged back on. Of course, it's Hell and Heaven time, so we have a closed fist with interlocking fingers and everything. I'm not going to do the Latin chant because I don't know it by heart. Jump cut. Sorry about that. This is a little bit trickier to get him into this pose than necessary. You actually have to be paying close attention so you do not break something off on that main, since there's so many parts kind of interweaving here. But as you can see, full Hell and Heaven pose and stature, fully linked all the way. The key here is to get all the joints kind of working in your favor. You know, all the way around the arm, all should be pointed in toward the chest. That way you can actually get both of these big meaty forearms in front of the lion head. But it does work, it is effective, and we can actually one-up this, because guess what? Accessory count, again, is kind of nuts. These panels on the back can completely come off and be replaced by the open vents, demonstrating GaoGaiGar jetting forward. This is an amazingly small little detail, and I say that because the only way you would really notice this is if you displayed him from behind. Like, I can understand plenty want to display him exactly like this. Well, maybe pose slightly better because you're not trying to rush through a YouTube video. However, it's a nice detail nonetheless, even if it's a little bit silly, because I can't imagine why you'd want to look at him from the back when he looks so awesome from the front. And from here, we do have one more thing we have to do. Now, this battle's almost wrapped up. Our fists are plunged deep inside a Zonder's gut right now, and we're ready to rip his core out. And for that, we need these hands. Very awkwardly splayed / gripping hands. It's actually very oddly shaped, isn't it? These, unlike the others, I don't think you do have any real other use for, just because it's such an odd pose. But this one specifically, as I attach it, or attempt to attach it from afar, or as I let the magic of a jump cut change it for me, we have this. This is the only thing those hands are good for, a Zonder core. Made entirely of translucent plastic with either an extra bit glued on. I think it is an extra bit glued on. Coming up quite nice. You can even see an extra paint job on the wires there. There we go. Now this one is a little bit odd. While I do love this accessory, I love that they included it, it is a little bit awkward because there isn't any real way of pegging them into these hands, and the hands themselves don't actually have any grip to them. You're pretty much left to just loosely connect it in there with the little wires in the back and the thumbs on this hand. It does come out to a decent looking holding pose though. If you do want to pose in this way, it should last you pretty well. Just don't jostle him, British. Well, maybe. Okay, maybe he does get a bit of a grip on there. Oh, that argument is completely wasted. You're making me look bad now. And just to wrap things up, can you believe it? More accessories. I can't believe this guy never ends. For starters, also for the Act 5 Tamashii stage, you do have this little extension plug. This plugs onto the back of GaoGaiGar underneath his wings, so an actual Tamashii stage can correctly hold him. Also, a spare head. GaoGaiGar without the face mask, or otherwise, Galleon's head. Made of translucent plastic, painted silver, and all that, yada yada. I'd have to yank the head off, which I'm a little nervous to do, so take my word for it. And one final, very thoughtful accessory. It's a spare head crest, but not just any spare head crest. This one is actually made of flexible plastic, unlike the one that's currently attached to GaoGaiGar, which is firm and very fragile. So if you drop it by some chance and that happens to break, if clumsy fingers happen to knock one of the fins off, yeah, good replacement, which will actually avoid that problem. Also, easy to swap out if you're just paranoid and don't want that to happen first. Oh, they do think of everything now, don't they? Overall, I am absolutely astounded by this toy. Aside from being well detailed, well articulated, the accessory count is ludicrous. I mean, there's hardly anything GaoGaiGar is capable of in the show that isn't included here. Though you do have accessory packs you can buy just for the few things that are left out of this release. Besides that, it is a phenomenally well done figure and very worth your time if you are a GaoGaiGar fan. Mine, of course, came from HobbyLink Japan, who also have listings up for Choryujin, and I'm aware that they are going to make Big Volfog as well. Man, if they get up to Genesis GaoGaiGar, I'm probably going to go all in on these things. I'm going all in on a lot of toys lately. My wallet already hates me. Oh well. These I can afford to do. Well, I can't, but I will. Hopefully.